Ladies and gentlemen, the day is here. As you can see, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is now in Marvel's Avengers, and today we're going to go on ahead and kick things off by taking a look at all the skins that you can get and letting you know how much it would cost if you went ahead and acquired all of them. So I'm going to have a running tally going on the screen so you guys can see how much all of them cost. Of course, in addition to all of that, guys, don't forget, this is absolutely completely optional. You do not have to buy any of these skins. You do get the default look, which is what we see right here. If you want to go on ahead and acquire any additional skins, obviously you would need to go on ahead and cough up some extra credits. Now, with that out of the way, guys, don't forget to smash the thumbs up button and let me know down in the comment section below your top 3 favorite designs. Let's get rocking and let's get a rolling. So first and foremost, we have Spider-Man Safety First Suit, which actually looks super duper sick. This has a bit of a Matrix sort of vibe. I really quite like this particular design. And next up, we have the Concrete Jungle Suit, which is of course a recolor of that previous costume that we just saw a moment ago. Just to give you a heads up, if you don't know, this is a common practice in the Marvel's Avengers video game where they basically take one costume and then do a multitude of different designs on that costume. Here we have the Mark IV costume, which is usually a design that I absolutely cannot stand, but this is the only time ever that I've actually liked this particular design, and I think it looks super duper nice. So that is definitely a feather in the cap of the designers of this game because I've never liked the Mark IV. This is the first time ever that I actually think it looks somewhat decent. We have the Never Sleep Suit, which is of course a recolor of that Mark IV, making it look almost a little bit Prowler inspired. Maybe that's just me because of the purple colors, but I feel like if Prowler kind of like crossed over with a Spider-Man suit, this is sort of what we would end up with. Next up after that, we have the Mark III. This is actually a very popular costume from the Never End storyline. It looks super duper cool. The red and black combination is just a classic combo that always works, and this is certainly no different. Next up after that, we have yet another redesign of the Mark IV. This is the Prodigy Suit. This I'm not a big fan of. I mean, this looks like a Spider-Man mustard costume. Again, if you like it, let me know down in the comment section below. We're moving on to page number 2. The Hudson River costume is going to be the next one that we see here. And again, not a very good combination of colors here, in my opinion. It just looks like a bit of a mess. This really does look like too many colors clashing together. And maybe if there's a certain sports team that is like blue and orange, isn't that like the Mets or something like that? Maybe if you're a fan of that team, you could get this costume then. We have the Sublime Suit, which honestly looks super neat. This is the Mark IV redesigned once again, or recolored into the silver, gold, and black redesign. This looks very stylish and quite expensive. Next up after that, we have the Shadow Suit. This is an epic outfit, which of course reworks the classic Mark I armored Spider-Man. This is the very first time that Spidey has like an armored outfit, which he actually wears fighting the Super Adaptoid in the comics. So it's really cool to see a recolor of that suit. I actually kind of like this better than the original look, which if you're wondering what that looks like, well, here you go. Wonder no longer. This is of course the silver redesign right here for Spidey. This is the classic Mark I costume. I think it looks cool, but honestly, I kind of like this redesign, the Shadow variant, a tad bit better. Next up after that, we have the Mark II, which looks pretty freaking fancy, that's for sure. I usually, again, this is one of the designs like the Mark IV that I don't particularly care for most of the time, but here, I gotta be honest, they actually did quite an excellent job of making this look very cool. And the last costume on the second page is going to be the Arachnophobia Suit. Keep in mind, guys, there are 40 costumes in the game at launch. Of course, there's a giant caveat to that because it's not really 40 costumes. There's, I think, about 8 or 9 costumes and then a bunch of recolors of those 8 or 9 costumes. So keep that in mind. Here we have the Blue Peter suit, which is of course a rework on the Spider-Man Noir costume that we'll see momentarily. Not a huge fan of that design personally. Then we have the Menace suit, which actually looks pretty neat. It's basically classic Spider-Man colors applied to the Iron Man, applied to the Spider-Man Mark 1 suit. Then we have yet another costume shop suit right here. Not a huge fan of this design. Again, I know a lot of people like this kind of like more casual outfit thing going on. I guess it's maybe like more like streetwear sort of design Spider-Man. So if you like that sort of aesthetic, you'll be stoked to know that there's a lot of options available to you. Then we have the Shield issue suit, which I do quite like as well. This is of course an inspired design by Shield. In fact, you can see that on the shoulder pads, Spidey's rocking the Shield logo. So I guess if Spider-Man goes full-time working from just being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man to being Shield's Spider-Man, this is something that he would rock. Next up after that, we have the Spider-Man Night Out suit, which once again is a recolor of that noir costume, recoloring it to the classic Spider-Man blue and red colors. And the last costume on page number 3 is going to be the Wrestler suit. So this is a nice homage to the origin story of the Spider-Man. Page number 4, we kick things off with the Anglophile Suit, which is a rework of the Mark IV costume. Looks a little bit busy for me. I feel like it's a little too bright to be one of my personal favorites. Then we have the Uptown Suit, which once again is a rework of the classic Spider-Man noir costume. Then we have another wrestler redesign. This is the Alumnus Suit, which is okay looking. Obviously, he's rocking the Midtown High School Science Club jersey, which you would think, like, if this is an exclusive thing to just members of the Midtown High School Science Club, then you'd think, like, isn't that kind of giving away your secret identity? Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe you agree with that. Okay, next up, we have the Brown Recluse suit, which actually looks pretty neat. I like this color combo. It kind of makes me think of Shocker. So this is Spider-Man inspired, I guess, maybe by Shocker colors, which I actually think is kind of an interesting idea to go on ahead and redesign Spider-Man inspired by all of his rogues. Then we have the Big Time suit, which is very, very, very cool looking. But interestingly enough, this is just a recolor of the Mark IV done up as the Big Time suit. So I think that that's actually a really smart way of reusing that costume, but then giving it a pretty identifiable color scheme and a pretty identifiable costume from the comics. So I think that's pretty neat looking for sure. And then for the last costume on page number 4, we have the Underground suit, which I love. This screams Deadpool x Spider-Man. Page number 5 is going to go on ahead and offer to us the Radioactive Outfit right here, which is, of course, the Mark I costume done up in the radioactive sort of color scheme, similar to maybe like a Spider-Man X Hulk sort of design. I'm not really sure, though, if the blue fits in. I feel like the blue should have been green there. I don't know if you guys agree with that. Let me know in the comment section below. And then we have the Future Forward, which of course is supposed to be a play on the Future Foundation costume. I love this look. I think the black and white is just so freaking sleek on this costume. It looks so, so nice. Honestly, like, I don't even mind if we never get a Future Foundation costume, just because this looks so freaking nice. And then, of course, we also have the Secret War suit, which looks super duper clean. Again, I don't know how they've done it, but Marvel's Avengers has made me care for some costumes that I usually could not care less about. Usually, I'm not a big fan of this design, but for whatever reason, in this game, with this art style and the way that they built the character model, it just seems to work. Like, the color scheme and the color combination is pretty cool. It almost has a bit of a Miles vibe because of the black and red, like the red webbing. So definitely looking pretty darn cool. And so that looks like it's actually the last skin currently purchasable in the item shop or the marketplace at launch, which means that, of course, there will be others that need to be added, like some of the classic redesigns. Like, we don't see the classic noir style costume here. Keep in mind, there is a battle pass or a champion pass for Spider-Man available as well, which will run you $5, which means that cumulatively, if you wanted to buy everything Spider-Man as far as costumes are concerned at launch, you're dropping $200. Good googly moogly, that is pretty pricey. Of course, that is not something that you have to do. Of course, I think that most people will not be doing that because that's kind of insane to drop $200 worth on skins, and that's not even all of them. Keep in mind, this was calculated via the USD equivocation or equivalency between the credits and what you would spend. Obviously, if you live in a different country, that will be most likely more. And of course, I am aware of the fact that if you buy credits on Game Pass, you get that discount as well. So obviously that amount would be maybe a tad bit lower if you're an Xbox Game Pass player. Oh, hold up. No, it won't, because you don't have Spider-Man. Was that toxic? That might have been toxic. Sorry about that. Sorry to all our fellow Xbox players. But again, pretty pricey edition, and I'm very curious to see how many of you guys like these skins, which ones you think are really, really cool. For the most part, of course, as you can see, the majority of them will run you about $7 or 700 credits. That is because you have 19 options there. And then out of the other costumes, you have a list of, I believe, you have 8 costumes available there. So with that in mind, let me know which one was your personal favorite. Of course, stick around to the channel for plenty more Spider-Man coverage. There will be videos, there will be streams. We're going to level up. We're going to play the actual campaign or the story mission for Spider-Man, as well as the absolutely ridiculously exciting addition of the Discordant Sound Raid. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll hopefully catch you guys here next time. Peace!